Hari Om, we can start.
No, really? Is this it?
Well, we have some on Zoom going down. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayani Ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavati Te Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Devyai Stavai Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vastita Tatgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidutsura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo namaha. Hari Om. So in the 17th chapter, we are talking about the three gunas and the three kinds of Shraddha. Arjuna asks Bhagwan, what kind of Shraddha is a person who has not understood the scriptures but still tries to follow his path. So Bhagwan says there's three kinds of Shraddha, Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic. And then he talked about these people. Satvik is the pure, Rajasic is the passionate, Tamasic is the lazy or the ignorant. And what kind of worship they do. Worship does not only mean what gods, but what is their role model, what is their hero. Like in children, they idolize, sports stars or singers and so on. So what is my goal, or who do I look up to? And Bhagavan says Sattvic people look up to devas and wise people. Rajasic people look up to people who are successful and powerful, and Tamasic people more look up to gangsters and criminals. And then he talked about the various kind of food, what kind of food they like, and then what kind of yajna they do, how they act in the world, how do they work in the world. So he says that the Sattvic people work without any selfish desire for the benefit of all. Rajasic people, their actions are selfish and dambha, with show off. And these points he will emphasize again, because that is what appeals to us. That's what we connect with better. Rajasic and Tamasic. Sattvic, we think is a little high goal. Maybe I can try to reach there. So, and then Tamasic are the people who work without any particular goal, without any true knowledge, vidihinam asrishtanam, and without following all the rules and regulations, that is tamasic. So that is where we had ended last time. And then we did last time one shloka, which is what is tapa, what is austerity. We think of austerity as standing on one leg, not eating and then being in the forest. But Bhagavan says austerity can be at the physical level, speech level, and mental level. Austerity here means self-control. And at the physical level, deva vija guru prajnam shaucham arjavam. So respecting the wise people, cleanliness, straightforwardness, brahmacharyam, self-control. So that is sharirik tapa uchyate. That is said to be sharirik tapa, also includes ahimsa, non-violence, not only at the physical level, but speech and mental. Now we will cover the tapa we did the physical level, now we'll do tapa at the speech level and at the mental level. So chapter 17, shloka number 15. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. Altogether, anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So vangmayam tapa uchyate. Tapa means austerity or self-control at the vangmayam, at the speech level. That is said to be uchyate. The wise people say that. What is austerity of speech or control of speech? We think control of speech means not to speak, but here it is a lot more than that. Bhagavan says, Anudvega karam. Udvega means agitating. Agitation. Udvega karam means one that causes agitation. Anudvegakaram means one that does not cause agitation, that kind of vakyam, that kind of speech, words. They should not only not cause agitation, but they should be satyam, should be truthful, should be priyam. Priyam means pleasing to others. And hitam. Hitam means it should be beneficial to others. So it should be truthful, pleasing and beneficial, and not create agitation. Jayata. So that is the kind of speech. And along with that, he says swadhyaya abhyasanam. Swadhyaya means self-study. Abhyasanam means practice. So we say, how can self-study be part of speech? We'll talk about that also. He says, so study, and what kind of study should be done for speech. So what is the meaning of anudvegakaram? So udvegakaram means one that agitates, one that disturbs. So one person will say, watch that guy. I'll go and tell him something and he'll get angry. I know what makes him angry. So he'll go and say something and that guy will get mad and see, I told you. So that is udvegakaram. You are purposely making somebody angry to have fun, or deliberately irritate somebody, cut somebody off, or whatever, some gestures. So that doesn't have to be only physical, it can even be a rude gesture at somebody and also cause agitation. Talking to our children, say if he hasn't done well in his exams, you say, what kind of a fool you are, you never study, you're always on the TV, you're on your phone, I've told you so. That is one way, that shouting. Once in a while, you met all the time shouting and irritating. But no, you tell him, look, I know you can do better. You are intelligent, you are smart. So the same thing can be told without creating disturbance in the whole house where everybody gets disturbed, the mother and father and the other children. So that is anudvega karam. Now, priyam and satyam. Sometimes something may be satyam but may not be priyam, or it may be priyam but may not be satyam. Like gossip, I spread gossip. It creates a lot of fun, you want to hear, but that may be half truth and half you cook up something. So that's not truthful. Or it may be truthful, but may be hurtful to somebody. Like, say, you're going to a party and the wife is dressed up, and the husband looks at her and says, what kind of dress you have? It looks horrible. That's, that's truthful. It may be truthful, but it is not priyam. It is creating. Better you can say, honey, last week when we went to the party, your outfit was very good. So today it's a little different. So the same thing you can say, which may be not, it is also truthful, but it's not hurtful. You can tell that the same thing delicately. So there's a beautiful story. Can I have my pointer, please? There's a black pointer. So there's a beautiful story I heard. So there was this diamond merchant who passed away, and his wife goes to his best friend and says that, we are tight for money right now. And this merchant has taken a lot of loans. He wanted to expand his business. He had taken a lot of loans. And all the creditors are coming. They want us to pay the loans right away. And I don't have any ready cash, but I have these diamonds that my husband had bought some time back. He had given it to me. So see if I can sell them, or maybe you can buy them and give us some money. So the man looks at the diamonds and he says, you know what, keep them. I'll loan you the money. I'll give it to you. You pay off all the creditors. And you have been helping your husband in the business. I'll help you, and you can continue the diamond, your business. Thank you. So she says, okay. So she takes the diamonds back. He gives her a loan. He says, just whenever you have money, you pay it back. Don't worry about interest or anything. And so she pays off all the creditors and she does the business. He helps her and the business picks up and they do okay. Now, when she was talking to this friend, her 7 or 8-year-old son was listening to the conversation between mother and father's friend. And so in a few years, the son grew up and he got into the business. He was very aggressive and the business multiplied several times. And they were doing very, very well. So one day he tells his mother, the market is good right now. You remember the diamonds you were talking to our friend? This is a good time to sell them, because the market is very high. So take them out. So she brings them out and he looks at them. By now he was smart. He said, these are fake. They are worthless diamonds. Throw them away. So she said, but the friend didn't tell me that. So in the meantime, that so happened, the friend just walked into the house. He had come to visit. So he says, uncle, you didn't tell my mom that these are worthless diamonds. You didn't know. He said, I knew. So he says, well, why didn't you say something? He says, first of all, if I had said they are worthless and I'm going to pay you very little, you would have doubted me. Plus, she would have become stressed out and depressed that she has no money. So I just kept quiet. I gave her the loan and things picked up. I didn't say, I knew they were worthless because he was very experienced. So the point is that even though he didn't tell the truth, it was priyam and hitam. It was pleasing and it was beneficial. I mean, he didn't lie. He didn't say that these are, very expensive diamond. He just kept quiet. So speech can be beneficial without, and so that's why all three things have to be there. It should not disturb, it should be truthful, it should be beneficial, and it should be pleasing. So that is called tapas of speech. Then he says, swadhyaya bhyasanam, self-study and practice. So how can that be speech, tapas of speech? So they say, what they mean, Bhagwan means is the chanting. You study the scriptures and you chant. Like yesterday, we did Gita chanting. We chanted all 18 chapters. Took about 3 hours. It was so pleasing, to the ears and whoever came and whoever logged in on Zoom. It was most beautiful chanting. Or you can do it on your own. We have our Gita chanting class on Monday evening. People practice and then they chant. So that is tapas of speech, where you chant the scriptures. It can be the Vishnu Sahasranam, can be, Rudram, as you do on Tuesday in the chanting class. And if you know the meaning, if you have studied the meaning, then the chanting has even more benefit. So that is called Swadhyaya Vyasanam. And that kind of chanting is the tapas of speech. Talking about tapas of speech reminds me of another story. We have a lot of stories today, so get ready. So there was this king, and one day an astrologer came. He said, he looked at the king and he said, I'm a great astrologer. I can tell your fortune. So king says, you can tell my fortune? He says, yeah. He said, okay, tell. He says, you know what? Your life is going to be full of sorrow. You will see all your family members die before you, not your children, but your wife, your brothers, sisters, everybody will die before you. So king said, what kind of, he said, get out of here. He gets angry, he tells him, get out. I don't want to see this kind of fortune you are telling me. I'm going to suffer and sorrow. No, I don't want that. So as he was leaving, there was a wise minister who heard him. So he takes him aside and he says, look, this is not the way. Say it this way. So after a few days, this fortune teller comes. He has put on a beard, mustache, different headgear. So he looks completely different. And in a different voice, he says, King, I can tell your fortune. So king says, yeah, I hope you can tell better than the last guy. He was very rude, very bad. He says, you know what, king, you will have a long, long life. You will be the longest living in your whole family. The same thing he had told earlier also, but the same truth can be told. So that's what they say, that it should be beneficial, it should be truthful, and it should be pleasing to others, not create agitation. That is speech. Patanjali Maharishi has beautifully written 3 different texts which talk about tapas of mind, speech, and body. So one, he has written the Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, everybody knows, the 8 limbs. That is for austerity of mind. Then there's a great Rishi Panini, who was the great grammarian and a great Rishi. On his sutras, he has written Mahabhashyas. So that is speech, because grammar comes in speech. So austerity of mind with the Ashtanga Yoga, speech with the Patanjali's grammar. He has written commentaries on that. And how about at the physical level? He wrote Charak Samhita, which is the basic text of Ayurveda. So one Maharishi, one great master, wrote commentaries on all the 3 things, for your mind, for your speech, and for your body. So in our scriptures, the rishis have done so much that all we have to do is just study that and we can practice. And it should also be helpful to others. It should be beneficial. It should be helpful to others. Talking about helpful, this wife tells the husband, she says, you know what? This door going to the backyard is sticking. When to open, I have to push very hard. To close, I have to pull very hard. I have to push hard. I have to pull hard. Can you fix it? Can you take out the door, unhinge it, and then smooth it out, plane it? He said, no, I'm not going to do it. He said, no, then what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to push very hard to open it and pull very hard. That's not helpful speech, if you want to help. So same way, the speech should be helpful. Another additional point that the speech should be mitam. That's one more point and not covered here by Bhagavan, but has been covered in other parts of the scriptures. Mitam means measured speech. Speech may be truthful, may be pleasing, may be beneficial, may not create agitation, but the person goes on and on, talking only all the time, or telling somebody again and again, and kids will say, Mom, Dad, you have told me many times. You don't know when to stop. That is called mitam, even though you're speaking for somebody's benefit, but you should know, okay, I've told him once, maybe twice. No need to keep on repeating. I actually myself am guilty of that. Sometimes I will tell the same thing 2, 3 times and people will say, look, you already told us that. That's because, in the medical field, many years I've worked with nurses and technicians, and you want to make sure things are done correctly and no mistakes. But then that habit carries over. So that's why mitam, it should be measured speech, and you should know when to stop. Okay, I have spoken enough, or you keep on advising somebody on and on and on. It's okay. You told me, it's just end it now, stop. So that is anudvega. So speech, austerity of speech, it should be pleasing, good, beneficial, not create agitation, truthful, and measured. And chanting and studying the scriptures is a very good way to develop the speech. Now we'll go to shloka number 16, which talks about tapas at the mental level. Manah prasada samyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. Together, manah prasada samyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. So manah prasada. Manah prasada means where the mind is very calm, very peaceful, very pleased mind. Samyatvam means very, very kind. A person who's very kind, who's very compassionate, who's very accommodates with others. Samyatvam. Maunam means silence. Instead, but silence should be in speech. Why is silence in mind? You can turn the heating off. It's a little warm, please. So maunam, silence. We'll talk about silence. Atma vinigraha. Nigraha means to control. Vinigraha means to completely control. Atma vinigraha means to self-control. Living a life of self-control is mental tapa. And bhava samshuddhihi, that is purity of nature. Iti, in this way, etat, this tapaha manasam uchyate. This is said to be manasik tapa, where the mind is calm, pleasing, adjusting with others, silent, and self-controlled, and purity of nature. So mana prasada means that your presence should be, people should be happy to talk to you, should be in your presence. If you are all the time agitated, all the time complaining, and then it's not worth. Like you meet somebody, hi, how are you? Now, how are you is just or howdy, it's just a standard question. How are you? And he says, what happened today morning? My coffee was cold, and then my car wouldn't start. Then I had to call an Uber, and then I got late to work, and then my boss got mad with me, and then I couldn't go for lunch because he's not asking you all that. He was just asking how you are as a formality. Next time the guy will never ask because this guy is telling his whole life story. Problems everybody has, but unless somebody is genuinely going to be helpful and is asking in a proper way, he wants to know. Otherwise, I'm fine. That's good. You don't need to tell your whole biography to everybody. So that is called mana prasad, where your mind is itself not very much disturbed. If your mind is disturbed, then you will disturb others. So mind is calm, mind is peaceful. And the one of the reasons our mind gets disturbed is because of the media. Because of the media, if you read the news, whether it used to be TV news, now nobody watches TV, but on the internet or AP News or wherever you are, whatever, CNN, Fox News, out of 30 minutes, 3 minutes go for commercial, say if there is a news program. Out of the 27 minute, 25 minute is bad news. How many killings and murder and rape and war and violence and inflation and all those things, accidents. 1 or 2 minutes, they might show something. Oh, a cat was stuck in the tree and was rescued, or some, small thing like that. So 90% of the news is bad, 95%. So our mind, or if on the internet, if you go all these sites, it's full of hate, full of, now in Twitter, previously they were censoring hate speech. Now he has opened it to everybody, removed all censorship. You can write and do whatever you want. So not that censorship is good, but at least hateful and wrong and misinformation, where wrong information about COVID is given, that COVID is bad, can be cured by homeopathy and things like that. So these kind of things should not be allowed to become public, But unfortunately, we open our ears to all this nonsense, eyes and ears. And so when our mind gets all this negativity, so much violence, so much anger, then it comes across in our relationships. Or children from childhood, they bought video games, where they are shooting and killing aliens and all. Then for them, using a gun is normal. There's guns in the house, and from childhood, he has been playing video games. If he's mad at his teacher, at his friends, he's 14, 15-year-old, he'll take a gun from his parents, which is, he knows how to shoot and load it, and he'll go shoot people in schools. And that's what is happening. Why? Because of too much of wrong information from the media, from the parents. So that is mana prasada. The mind is not calm, not peaceful, either within or because of situation. Saumyatyam. Saumyatvam is kindness, just like a child. If you look at a 1 or 2-year-old child, how he or she is just full of joy and calm and peaceful and accepting others and loving, and and you talk to them and you carry them and they are so calm. So that is how one should be. That is Saumya. Just as a child is loving, compassionate, accepting, so I should become childlike, not have judging people or criticizing people. So that is Saumyatvam. Now, what is Maunam? Maunam, as Gurudev in his commentary says, if my mind is disturbed, then I will be talking too much, talking wrong thing. So control of the mind will result in control of speech. Maunam is silence. Another meaning of Maunam, the root of Maunam is Manaha, the mind. So Maunam here means contemplation, thinking with the mind, contemplating. So a contemplative individual, one who meditates or one who listens to the scriptures and contemplates upon that, that is also called Maunam. Atma Vinigraha is self-control. Now, self-control, people say, I don't want to control myself, but unnecessarily doing things that are not required. So where does self-control start? In the mind. If the mind is controlled, Shama, that's why they say Shama and Dhamma, control of mind and control of senses. If my mind is thinking, but my senses are not indulging, that is called mithyachara sa uchyate. Bhagavan says, Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran mithyachara sa uchyate ahankar vimudhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. So he says this person outwardly he says, I won't do this, I won't drink, I won't smoke, or whatever his habit is, I won't overeat or I won't overindulge. But in the mind, he's all the time thinking how nice it would be if I could get a drink or get a smoke or get. So mind is not controlled. Outwardly, you are controlling. Sooner or later, the mind will win and you will do what is wrong. So control of the mind helps in control of the activities and control of speech. So Dhamma is control of the senses, Shama is control of the mind. And a Bhava Samshuddhi. Samshuddhi means purity of motive. The motive is very, very important. Why I am saying to somebody and why this, you may outwardly look like you are helping the person, but you are helping him so that, oh, in the future, this person is standing for election. If he becomes a minister or a high official, I can get money from him, I can get contracts from him. So the motive is not pure. You may be helping somebody, or you are helping somebody to make him feel inferior, to make yourself feel superior. So that's why Bhagavan says, the scripture say, Bhagavan knows your motive. He knows why you are doing it. Outwardly, you may impress the world and say, oh, this person is a great charitable giver, very honest, very truthful. But if his motive is wrong, then that action, so the mind has to think correctly. And that can only happen when I have Ishvara Bhava Buddhi, that everybody is God. Everybody, even a criminal is God, even a good person is God. There is God in everybody. I have no hatred. I accept people as they are. Does not mean you become, just push over and anybody can take over you. But I have no internal hatred for anybody, because Bhagavan himself, even if somebody is saying something to me, Bhagavan is sending this message, using this person to send me this message to maybe something I need to correct. So Ishvara Bhava and Tapa, people think of Tapa as torture, lying down on nails or, sitting or walking on hot coals. Again, those may be done to show off. Some amount of self-control is good. Fasting, on Mondays or maybe on Tuesdays, eating one meal, things like that. But over torturing the body is also not tapa. So somebody may say, Bhagwan, the 16th and 17th chapter, you should have told in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, how to behave, how to deal with people. Abhi to Bhagavad Gita khatam ho gayi, almost finished. And now you are telling, Bhagavan says, I wanted to start the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter with the highest knowledge for the highest seeker. And Arjuna was crying because he thought these people are going to die. So I had to tell him that all of this is Brahman, everybody is eternal, everybody is Atma. So I started with the highest knowledge. And now 16th, 17th chapter are kind of the conclusion where he's giving simple things for our day-to-day behavior. We think it's simple, but it's very, very important for our day-to-day behavior. Now I will tell you a sentence from Shankaracharyaji's teaching. In one sentence, he has covered all of these things, whatever we have talked today. So he says, Shanto Bhava Vatsa Swadhyaya cha Anutisthata Yogam cha Anutisthata. Shanto Bhava Vatsa Yogam cha Anutisthata Tata te Shreyo Bhavati. So in this sentence, he has covered everything. Shanto Bhava Vatsa means, oh child, be peaceful. Yogam cha Anutisthata, follow yoga. tata te shreyo bhavati, that will be beneficial for you. So how has he covered everything? Shanto bhava. Shanto bhava means anudvegakaram. It is not causing agitation, creating peace. Vatsa, vatsa means, oh dear one, oh dear child. So that it covers. Yogam cha anutishtata, that is hitam, that is beneficial to that individual. And tatate shreyo bhavati. Shreyo bhavati means that is truthful. So he has, in one sentence, he has covered everything: reduced agitation, pleasing, loving, compassionate, kind, and beneficial and truthful. So that is how these great Mahatmas who have purity of motive, bhava samshuddhihi, manah prasada, that is what they constantly dwell in. So every line that comes out of their mouth is pleasing, it is beneficial. So that is tapa of speech, having pleasing personality, and contemplative mind, which is self-controlled, has purity of motive. Now, Bhagwan talks about that there are three kinds of tapa. First, he has already talked about tapas of body, tapas of speech, tapas of mind. But now when he talks about three kinds of tapa, it is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So Bhagavad Gita, that this chapter and next chapter, a lot of emphasis is given on day-to-day behavior, whether behavior should be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. So he's going to talk about sattvic tapa. What is sattvic tapa? And then if we have time, we'll do rajasic today and then tamasic next week. So sattvic tapa, 17th shloka, 17th chapter. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastatrividham naraihi apalakanshibhiryuktaihi Satvikam parichakshate. Together. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastatrividham naraihi apalakanshibhiryuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. So Satvikam Parichakshate, it is said to be Sattvic Tapa. What kind of Tapa is Sattvic? Shraddhaya Paraya Taptam. Taptam here means performed. Shraddhaya Paraya, with the highest Shraddha. So Shraddha Bhagwan is emphasizing. Performed with the highest Shraddha. And Tapas Tat. And this kind of Tapas is of three kinds. Sattvic Trividham. Naraihi means performed by humans. There's three kind of tapa. So this one that is performed with Shraddha and aphalakankshi bhihi, performed without selfish motive. What am I going to? Phala here means motive, fruit. The fruit, what is going to be my gain in it? What will I get? Looking out for I and my. So afalakankshi bhihi, and yuktaihi means steadily. So this person performs actions with Shraddha in the scriptures, Shraddha in Bhagwan, and unselfish actions performed steadily. And the Shraddha is not ordinary Shraddha, it is the highest Shraddha in Bhagwan, in the Supreme. So that is Sattvic. So one thing that we have to get understand is yuktaihi. It has to be steady, continuous. You cannot say, today I'll do good, or or I'll fast for next 10 Mondays. After that, what? No, after that I'll start eating. Or I have given up sweets for 1 year. Yeah, you have given up sweet, but after 1 year, oh, then I'll. So it should be steady, continuous. Why? Because my Gurudev says in his commentary, my past determines my present, and my present will determine my future. So if I want my future to be good, I have to make sure my present is good. And whatever is coming is because of my past, I accept it. So that is called Shraddha, that there is a Bhagwan who is a karma phala data, who is giving me results of my actions, and I don't have to worry. I just keep on doing actions with highest faith, that I have faith in Bhagwan, I have faith in scriptures, I have faith in the Guru, and I have faith in myself, in my abilities. And so I will do what is right, what is mentioned in the scriptures, because scriptures have come from God himself, from these great realized masters who are speaking as a representative of God. And then this sattvic activity should be at all levels. My speech should be sattvic. My mind should think sattvic, pure thoughts, unselfish thoughts, beneficial thoughts, helpful to others. And at my action level. So sattvic thoughts, sattvic speech, sattvic actions at all levels, and doing it without what am I going to get out of it? Like a person is doing puja, he says, by doing puja, maybe God will be pleased, and then I will get this, I will get that. So I'm going to temple not to meet God or to see God, but to ask for something. So that is puja. Even prayers, if it is done, God already knows what you need. You just go with the idea, I'm doing it for you, and doing it for mental purity. So all these activities are done as a sadhana, as purification of the mind. When I help others, when I do some puja, when I do some chanting, when I remember God, so all these activities are done for purification of the mind, and that will help me in my sadhana, in my spiritual pursuit. Not for what am I going to get, what result am I going to get out of it. Or if I'm chanting some mantras, maybe I'll get some siddhis, I'll get some powers. No, I'm not chanting, I'm not remembering, I'm doing it for purification of the mind and for obtaining the highest. There's a beautiful story of Hanumanji, where what he's doing is sattvic tapa. So after they all came back from Lanka, they had defeated Ravana, Sita ji, Ramchandra ji came back, and Hanuman ji came with them, and Ramchandra ji became the king, and Sita ji the queen, and Hanuman ji became their servant. And he, of course, didn't left Sugriv, and he said, I'm going to stay rest of my life with Ramchandra ji and serve him. And he was such a good sevak that before even Ramchandra ji would tell, he would do it. That was his seva. That how good he was. In fact, they say there are three kinds of sevak, or one is who work when they are told. You are told and you do this. That is called servant. Then sevak is one who does even without being told. He knows ahead of time what my master needs. And the third one, who you tell and still doesn't do, we call him volunteer. Because you tell him and he says, if I have time, I'll do it. Today I'm busy, I can't come. I'll come next week, next month. So that is not, so Hanumanji was not like that. He said before even Ramchandra ji could come up with the thought, he had already done it. That's how good he was. And every seva of Ramchandra ji he would do. And Lakshman ji and Sita ji and Bharat and Shatrughna said that he is not leaving any work for us. We want to serve Bhagwan too. He's Bhagwan, he's our older brother, he's the king. We also should do something. What is this? Hanumanji took over all the duties. So they say, you know what? We'll have a meeting and we'll make a list. So Bharat, Shatrughna, Sita ji and Lakshman ji sat down and made a list. Okay, you do this, you do that, you bring Lord's chappals, you bring his breakfast, you drive his chariot, all those works they divided, all from morning to evening, what Bhagwan needs. And when Hanumanji came, they gave him the list. Okay, these four of us has divided the function. Hanumanji says, what about me? What am I going to do? He said, sorry, you were not in the meeting, so you don't have any function. So Hanumanji looks, he says, that's true. You have all taken all. He says, one thing you forgot. He said, what? In India, when people are yawning, they do this chutki, they like snap the finger like that. That's just a tradition. So instead of covering the mouth, they snap the finger. He said, when Bhagwan yawns, I will snap my fingers. That is my seva to Bhagwan. That's a useless seva. You want to take it? Go ahead, take it. Yeah, we forgot. You can. So Hanumanji said, okay, I have it. So now Hanumanji is going everywhere where Bhagwan is because he could yawn anytime, morning, afternoon, evening. So he's there and he's with Bhagwan and he's watching all the time. Even he's going in the bedroom. Bhagwan is in the bedroom and he's there at night. Sita ji said, what are you doing? He said, get out of here. You're in my bedroom. He said, but how about if Bhagwan yawns at night? She says, no, you're out. I don't want you in my bedroom. What are you doing here? Stay outside. So poor Hanumanji goes outside, but he has to serve, right? He has to make sure that Bhagwan yawns, and if he's not doing chutki, if he's not snapping his fingers. So whole night he does chutki, keeps on 1 hour, 2 hours. He's doing constantly. Anytime Bhagwan can yawn, but my chutki should not stop. And so an hour later, Bhagwan Ramchandra ji is ready for bed. And he gives a big yawn, and Hanumanji is doing chutki, right? And he opens his mouth and he can't close it. His mouth remains open. He said, what happened to him? He said, I can't close my mouth. I can't, I don't know what's wrong. I can't. So they are wondering, what happened to him? And then Sita ji said, this is Hanumanji. He's doing it. So she goes outside and says, stop doing chutki because Bhagwan cannot close his mouth. He says, see, I told you. So they said, from that day, they said, forget it. Now you are the sevak. You do all Bhagwan seva. We all retire. So that is a sattvic servant where his whole idea is, I should serve God. So that is the glory of these great sevakas, these great people like Hanumanji. That's why they are worshipped. They are revered. So this story actually, and this is true because I was told this story by my mother when I was growing up, and then one of the Swamijis of Chinmaya Mission told me the story. That means it is there in Ramayana. It's not a made up story because I heard it from 2 different sources. So it is the truth. So that is Sattvika Tapa, where it is done with the supreme faith and without selfish motive. What am I going to get out of it? Idea is to serve, idea is to help others, and idea is to give rather than get. That's why we in our pledge, giving more than what we receive, producing more than what we consume, giving more than what we receive. So that is Sattvic. That's why Gurudev gave us this pledge. Now we'll do Rajasic Tapa. We have time. So that is Shloka number 18. Satkarman pujartham tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam. Together, Satkarman pujartham tapodambhena chaivayat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadruvam. So, Satkar, Mana, Puja, Artham. Artham means desiring these 3 things. Satkar means honor. No, satkar means that I will be made welcome. Mana means honor. Puja means I'll be worshipped. So I will be welcomed everywhere. I'll be honored. I'll be worshipped. I will be invited. So tapa is done for that purpose. Then dambhena cha aivayata. Dambha means hypocrisy, showing off that I am doing tapas, but I am doing it to show off with dambha. And this tapa kriyate, it is done tat. That tapa is done iha, here. Here means in these situations, in this world. And that is said to be proktam rajasam. It is said to be rajasam. He said, well, why? What's wrong with doing it? Bhagavan says it is chalam adhruvam. Chalam means moving. It is not fixed, and it is adhruvam. It is temporary. So even if you get anything out of it, it is temporary. So we'll talk about this. So one of the people who do this kind of tapa were the Rakshasas, like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, who did so much tapas, but they did not do it for the benefit of mankind. They did it for their own power. I should become most powerful. Ravana was the most powerful. Even Devtas in heaven were afraid of him. That's why they went to Bhagavan Vishnu and said, you need to save us. And Bhagavan Vishnu came as Ramchandraji. Or Hiranyakashipu, again, he had all these conditions. I cannot be killed inside, outside. And so he became so powerful that he became king of heaven, king of everything. And he became very arrogant, where he even, his own son, he was mistreating, because he said that only I can be worshipped in the whole kingdom. I should be honored, I should be worshipped. So all temples were made of Hiranyakashipu. All other temples of Bhagwan were destroyed, and only he could be worshipped. Teachers only had to teach about him as the supreme, not about God. And his own son Prahlad, did not follow his instructions, and then Hiranyakashipu tried to have him killed. And finally, Bhagwan Vishnu came as Narsimha, everybody knows the story, to destroy him. So these tapa is not done for the benefit of mankind, not even done for self-purification, but I should be honored, I should be worshipped, I should be welcomed everywhere, I should be important. And such people end up destroying society, end up hurting others, because their purpose of tapa is just to glorify themselves and to put others down. And if somebody doesn't follow, kill him. And then they increase their power, as we saw in these Rakshasas, they became as powerful as to control even heaven. And then dambha means it is done to show off. So a person will say, I'm going to fast for any political cause or any, he wants something. And then he will say, make sure the TV is there, make sure the newspapers are there. And then I will, big announcement that this great person is going to fast unto death because, he doesn't agree with the policies or whatever. But it is done only to show off. In the daytime, he will sit looking very weak, not eating. But at night, secretly, he will, that is, and he's only doing it when the newspaper is there, TV is there, publicity. So the purpose of this tapas is not for self-purification, not for upliftment of the mind, not for helping society, that, people do tapa, okay, then I get some powers, then I can help others, like these great Mahatmas, when they attain enlightenment and all that siddhis, they don't do it for siddhis. The siddhis automatically come to them, but their purpose of enlightenment is not to get powers, not to get siddhis. It is for self-purification, so I may become one with God, and may God be pleased with me. So that is their motive, because of which they work in the world. That's why Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji spent his whole life from 1950 to 1993 traveling constantly. Every day he was in a new city, in a new country. He was doing Gyan Yajnas. I had the privilege of listening to Puja Gurudev when I was a teenager. I was about around 12 to 16 years. So in those years, my mother used to take me to his talks in Shivaji Park and all those places in Bombay. So their motive is loka kalyana, for benefiting others, not for what will I get out of it. In fact, even when Puja Gurudev's health was bad, he still kept on traveling and speaking. Why? Because this knowledge, and that's why he established that center in Mumbai, Sandeepani Sadhanalaya, where other students are taught and they continue. And we have met Swami Ishwarananda and Vimalji and Swami Tejomayananda ji and Swarupananda ji and all these acharyas who have come through here. Stuti ji came for the summer camp. They are all students of Puja Gurudev or his students. So this Guru Shishya Parampara is going on, and that is how Chinmaya Mission is continuing to grow, because newer and newer teachers are coming out every 2 years, 30, 40 teachers, and all over the world. So that is called permanent benefit, where tapa is done, but for permanent. But a person who does tapa only for selfish reasons, what am I going to get out of it, or does it for power or for worship, that doesn't last. If somebody is doing this to hurt others or to cheat others or to glorify themselves, people come to know very quickly. You can't fool all the people all the time. And if you become that powerful, then Bhagavan says, I myself, paritranaya sadhuna, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He says, in every yuga I come to establish dharma and remove adharma, because this people who perform this kind of tapa for self-glorification and for hurting others and to get power, I make sure that I remove these people through knowledge, through action even required. Bhagavan Shri Krishna destroyed so many demons. Ramchandra ji destroyed so many demons. So, and others like Shankaracharya ji came to establish the right knowledge. He, through debates, through arguments, he removed the wrong thinking that was going on in India in the 7th, 8th century and established right knowledge. So it is said Bhagavan Shiva himself manifested as Shankaracharya. So it could be through action, could be through knowledge, like Lord Bhagavan Shri Krishna gave us Bhagavad Gita. So establishing the truth not only through action, but also through his teaching. So that's what Bhagavan says, that the result of this Rajasic tapa is temporary and it is harmful to others. So that's why it should not be done. And next week, we'll talk about Tamasic tapa and then talk about Danam, charity. Three kinds of charity: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. We say, oh, charity is always sattvic. No, it is not. There are different ways to do charity. We will have 2 more classes this month. Today is the 4th. We'll have 11th and 18th, 2 Sundays. Then we'll be closed for the Christmas break and then resume on the 8th. So 2 more Sundays. We'll end here. We have about 10 minutes, 8-10 minutes for questions, comments. Anybody would like to add anything? Yeah, Barbara, go ahead. Yeah.
There are people who don't understand the calmness and acceptance. I have a friend, and
little louder if you can speak. So.
Oh, okay. I have a friend who doesn't understand me when I don't get upset about things, and she gets really upset about things and politics and what her ex-husband has done to her and all that kind of stuff. And I don't get upset. And she, it was almost a criticism why don't you get upset? And I don't know how to answer her. Is there an answer that I could give to her? Because I don't. I don't get upset.
I think her question is that there is a friend who gets very upset and angry about politics, and then she asked Barbara, why don't you get upset? So I think the best answer would be that by getting upset, I don't accomplish anything. By getting agitated, by getting angry, all I'm doing is disturbing my mind and disturbing the circumstances. The same problem can be handled much better if it is handled with calmness, with peace, I mean, by getting angry, all you're doing is disturbing your mind. You're not fixing, like, okay, Democrats or Republicans are doing this. By you are getting upset, what purpose are you accomplishing? Calmly, if there is something you disagree with, you can go and speak in a public setting, or you can write a letter to the editor, or you can work for that particular cause. Say you are a hardcore Republican, you go and work in the headquarters out. But by getting angry, you're only disturbing your mind and the atmosphere around. So I think that's how I would answer. And do it peacefully so that she sees the benefit of, because you by your nature are calm and sattvic, and that's very good. You don't need to change your nature for somebody else and do something that's what Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita also, that your nature ultimately will manifest. So that is what.
She gets furious about Governor Newsom.
Right.
And, and my reply to her is, well, we vote.
Right.
That's the thing that you can do about that. Just vote.
Yes.
Make sure you vote.
Right. Make sure you vote, and make sure you go to the campaign headquarters and campaign against him. If you have donation, you can donate, do whatever you can. Even that's what she believes in it, whether it's right or wrong. And just do whatever you can. But by getting upset, all you're doing is disturbing your own mind. And he doesn't even know you're getting angry at him.
Right.
See, so it's not serving any purpose except disturbing the circumstances.
And there seems to be a fine line between, explaining, staying calm, and making a rational explanation or suggestion. But there's a fine line between making the suggestion and coming off as preaching.
Right.
And that's.
No, so if she asks, you say, because you are asking, I'm saying it. Why don't you get upset? Then you tell her why I'm not getting. But yeah, and if they don't want to hear it, you just say it in brief and then end it. Mitam, speak limited and beneficial. And if she doesn't want to hear it, that's too bad. I think. But that's a very good point. Thank you. Anything else? Carrie, anything you want to add?
Well, I would just say, when I run into people like that, I just make some excuse. Like, I haven't been feeling good, or I'm having problems with my husband, so I have enough tension. I have enough stress in my life. I can't
deal with that.
My stress bucket is full.
Right.
Really, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. Carrie says that you can just walk away and say, look, I have enough stress in my life. I don't need to add a problem with my husband or health or whatever. Yeah, so then you don't have to interact with this person. Yeah, that makes sense. And you say it in a peacefully, quiet way without irritating the person. Yeah, that's a good point.
Sometimes they ask very pointed questions to you too, and that's the time you kind of walk away.
Right. Right. If the question is deliberate, very pointed, yeah, you walk away, but gently excuse yourself, not becoming obnoxious or preaching, or not idea that I am somehow superior. But as I have enough now, enough problems. I can't think about California's problems. I have to worry about, like that also. Yeah, that's another. Yeah.
But I sometimes like people who speak in a forceful, maybe you could say angry way, but in a forceful way, because sometimes it kind of wakes me up out of my slumbers of just
Right.
just don't look.
Yeah, but if it's constant and, we're to the point where she is critical of another person for not responding to how she's thinking, then that becomes.
Yeah,
Lata, you have a comment or question? No, you look like you did.
No, I don't. You answered all of this. I said, with this political situation or whatever, the power of money, vote, and what your values are. I always think, after learning so much from Bhagavad Gita, where are your values? And
Yes.
based on that, you direct your thoughts and your actions. That's what I believe.
Right. Very true. Based on values, you direct your thoughts, and then speech and actions. Yeah, that's very true. Thank you. That I think we'll end here. Any more questions, comments? Okay, so we'll see you next Sunday, and we have 2 more classes. We will almost be done with 17th chapter, and then after, I think there might be, we've done up to 18, so 19, 22, and then 26. Pretty much we'll be done with the 17th chapter, and then after Christmas, we'll start with the 18th chapter. Very beautiful chapter where the entire Bhagavad Gita is summarized, and some of the most powerful shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita are in the 18th chapter. But again, he's talking about gunas and then summarizing the entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a long chapter. It's 72 verses, but very beautiful. So we'll start that in January. So we'll see you next week. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo. Hari Om. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Anilji. Thank you.
Monday, tomorrow. Yeah, Neeru is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still be here.
Is your life sharing a room?
Huh? No, actually, she's sharing with Komal.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to stop it?